Hello and welcome back to the MLB DFS Slate Breakdown for Monday, August 26th. I am back home, and as usual, we will have our normal show now. I will be going over yesterday's winning lineups, the perfect lineups, and then I will get into today's slate. It is an interesting one. We have 6 games on DraftKings. That starts at 4:10 Pacific time. And then we have 8 games on FanDuel, and that starts at 3:40 Pacific time. So depending on which site you're playing on, just beware. There are different start times and different teams we got to go over because of it. We will try our best to go over all of it, but it is a little bit harder when, they do this split different slate thing. But let's get into the slate. Before we do, come join us at LineStar. We got football starting in a couple weeks, or NFL football, that is. College football, week 1 is this week. We have our best ball tools. We got 2 more weeks of best ball drafting for NFL. We got Pick'em. We got it all. $39.99 per month gets you access to everything we do. All the props, all the DFS, you get it all. Now, let's get into today's slate and get over it all. First, we're going to go to the perfect lineups from yesterday's main slate. 9 games. Kevin Gausman, he was super chalky on FanDuel, almost 40% owned, and he just went off. 7 innings, 10 Ks, got it done. And we had a chalky Yankees 2-man stack, Philly 2-man stack, and then one-offs with the winning lineup going to Supavash, who won 50K, won by 4 points. They had Boyd and Gausman as their 2 pitchers, which is really the way you had to go. Boyd was just priced down way too much on DraftKings at $6,900. Surprised he actually wasn't even more owned than 21%. And then we had a 3-man Detroit stack, a 2-man Yankees, and a 2-man Toronto. So a little different. 3-2-2-1 got it done, but nice work. Supavash, and let's get over to that was the DraftKings one. The FanDuel one was Gausman and a 3-man Yankees, 3-man Detroit with a one-off of Tristan Casas and Bobby Witt. So 3-3-1-1 on FanDuel, 3-2-2-1 on DraftKings, and then the winning lineup on DraftKings went to Kevin Gausman and Adam Euler, who had a game, 5.2 innings, 1 earned run, and 6 Ks. At 6K got it done. Then we had a 3-man Yankees stack for the way you had to go with perfect lineup on DraftKings. Yankees was really the name of the game yesterday. All right. Now, pitching's probably going to be a little long here because we got, a couple extra games on DraftKings. So on FanDuel, got to spend a little more time there today. But let's dive in to DraftKings first. Ryan Papoy, highest owned pitcher, 31% owned. We got him at 3.5-star alert score. I really do like the spot for him. Seattle doesn't scare me at all. He's been pitching really good lately. 3.23 FIP over his last 5 starts. A FIP of 4 over his last 20. So he's been solid, all year. But he does have some spike weeks in there at only 8.2K. We got him at 2.2X. And we have seen some real nice spike weeks. One thing that I do find interesting is he has a 26% K rate over the long term, but only 19% over the last 5 games. Now, I think some of it could be because of KC, where he went 4 innings, had no Ks. Outside of that, his strikeouts have still kind of been there. So I think that KC game is just pulling his near-term K rate down way more than it really should be probably. And I think it's an interesting spot. The Seattle team is just not that good of an offense. They really win by pitching, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is a good old-fashioned pitching duel. And I don't mind eating some chalk with Poi. Now, I don't think you need to. I think there's plenty of other spots to go on this slate. Next, we got Ty Madden. Look, this guy has not been good in the minor leagues. He is Detroit's 16th best prospect, and it's a Detroit organization that really isn't that good. Look, in the minors, we have here AAA pitching this year, 7.97 ERA, 1.77 whip, over 79 innings. He at least has some strikeout upside, though. 102 strikeouts in 79 innings. So there is strikeout upside. He is the minimum price. That is the only reason we're considering this guy here. Minimum price and versus a terrible White Sox team. So can he get 4 or 5 strikeouts and maybe limit runs going, say, 5 innings or so? Yes, he might be able to do that. It is an offense that isn't very good, but it's still better than what he's been facing in the minors, and he had a 7.97 ERA there. So while I really don't love Ty Madden at 4K, I think he can get you double digits, which is at least of interest to us and a good salary saver if you want to pay up. But I also don't mind stacking White Sox whatsoever. In fact, at high ownership for Ty Madden, I think White Sox become a pretty interesting stack. Next, we got Bailey Ober, 9.2K, 3-star alert score, 28% owned. It is versus the Braves. There's pretty warm weather in this, but there's also storms coming in towards the end of the game here. If they arrive early, we could have some a shortened game, but most likely this game plays all 9. Ober has been fantastic lately. It's 2.76 FIP with a 28% K rate. That's versus a 3.6 over the last 20 and a 27% K rate. So he's been very good over the near and long term. Now he's facing this Braves offense. It's hitting 260 with a 170 ISO, 328 WOBA over the last 20 games. So they have been a better offense as of late than what they were. They still are not, really good, but probably slightly above average as of late. It doesn't scare me. I think Ober is still absolutely fine to use. 1.9x. He's at home. It's a pitcher-friendly park. I don't mind going here. We got a 24.4% combined K rate, which is interesting and has some upside there. Next, we got Bryce Miller, 8.9K. I love this spot for Bryce Miller. One, his huge games have pretty much all came up home. He is averaging 60% more fantasy points at home. Tampa Bay striking out at 26% versus righties. They got a real low WOBA, real low average, low ISO. I'm in on going with Tampa Bay Rays. If you look at this BVP data, it is a little bit scary, but hey, it's only 20 games, so we're not even going to talk about it. It was also all last year, and frankly, he is a better pitcher this year than he was last year. And combined K rate, 26.6 at 8.9K. I am very interested in some Bryce Miller, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up the highest owned on the slate. Next, we got Edward Cabrera, 6.2K. Is he too cheap? Probably, but it's a real scary click. We're talking about a Colorado game. He does have some upside. Colorado is not a good offense. He has been fantastic against Colorado in the past, but it's a real scary click. I think Cabrera could be your pivot off Ty Madden, but does anybody really want to face Colorado in Colorado with a pitcher that is a little scary to use? I mean, a FIP of 5, FIP of 4.89. Not exactly comforting, especially when you go to Colorado. He has at least had some success in Colorado. 2022, 6 innings, 9 Ks in Colorado. 2023, 6 innings, 3 earned runs, 6 Ks in Colorado. So he has been able to manage it in the past, but still Colorado, still kind of scary. I don't really love it. Max Fried is next, 8.7K. I think this is my favorite pivot, lower owned pivot spot. So Fried, 3.42 FIP over his last 20, 3.53 over his last 5. Now, he has an ERA of 5 over that last 5 starts, but that FIP tells me he's been pitching pretty similar, but his K rate is up. I think he's very interesting in this spot. He's averaging 58% or 48% more fantasy points away. Minnesota versus lefties has not been good. They are a good offense as a whole, but versus lefties over the last 20 games, 204 average, 197 ISO, so they can still hit the ball hard, but a 292 WOBA. So I'm interested in Fried. Fried is a very good pitcher. He's been pitching fine, just getting a little unlucky. I would like to bet on a low-owned bounce back here. I don't mind going with some Fried whatsoever. Next, Jose Barrios versus Boston. Never like going to Fenway, especially with a pitcher that is averaging less fantasy points away. Now, he's been pitching better in the near term, but this Red Sox offense just absolutely crushes righties, and I don't really love trying to pick on him. Nick Pivetta, 8,500. I mean, this guy has a giant ceiling, and he's going unowned. I'm going to have a little bit, but it is an incredibly scary click. 4.45 FIP over his last 20, 7.06 over his last 5, 49% fly ball, 37% hard contact. He has been pitching terribly lately, but I know he has a giant upside. And at 8.5K on a slate where, you know, there's several pitchers I like, but not really standout options, I'm going to get a little Pivetta, and it hurts to say it. Another factor is Toronto has faced him a lot and actually done pretty well. You haven't seen, you know, he has one 20-plus point game in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 starts. So the chance of him being optimal is probably pretty low in this spot. But I know he can put up 11 Ks, you know, and absolutely shut him down also. That is the only reason I'm putting him in, because I do know his ceiling, and it's super low ownership. I might as well take a little bit of a chance. Outside of that, probably really not going to anybody else. I think Randy Vasquez is cheap enough to consider, but he doesn't have the upside. And then Kyle Gibson versus the Padres is just a no for me. Now, let's get over to FanDuel, check out what we got here. And with our, you know, couple extra games here, we don't have the double header with KC. So that game is off the slate, but then we have Houston, Philadelphia, Chicago, Pittsburgh, and Yankees, Washington on the slate. So interesting, and it really, really changes up pitcher ownership, because Zach Wheeler is the highest owned here, 35% owned versus Houston. Never like to face Houston, as they just don't strike out a ton. 19% K rate over both the last 150 and the last 20. So you don't love to see that, but Zach Wheeler does have some strikeout upside. He's going to work later in this game. He's going to limit runs. My worry in this spot is ceiling. He's 10K. I doubt he gets to 50. Can he? Yes. It is in his range of outcomes. Does it happen? Probably not. I think most likely is around 40, and that's just not enough paying 10K to get it done on this slate. I think several other guys could get 50 for cheaper. So I'm probably laying off some Wheeler, but he is at least of interest. Next, Ryan Papoy, 8K. I would way rather, you know, save 2K and go to him. I know we have him at 31.5. We are 31.75. We got Wheeler 7 points extra, and 2K more. So it's up to you if you really want to pay that. The fact that Wheeler is that higher projected is the only reason I'm really considering Wheeler in this spot. So back to Papoy. I think it's a great spot for him. I talked about it in DraftKings spot, and it goes the same here. He's been efficient. He's been working deeper into games. The only worry here is 88 pitches over the last 5 games is his average. So there is a little more chance that he gets pulled before 6 innings. And on DraftKings or on FanDuel, that does hurt quite a lot because you need that quality start. Bryce Miller, 9.4K. I think our projection should be a little bit higher on him. He is just so much better at home. And he has 50-point upside, only 600 less than Wheeler, so you're not getting quite as big of a discount. 7-point project or less of a projection is the hard thing here. So, I mean, that's a big reason why so many more people are going to Wheeler than Miller. But I'll take the ownership difference. I'll go Miller. I think the chance of a ceiling game from Miller is just higher than Wheeler, and that's why I'm going there. And if you look at the difference on the consensus, you're talking about 1.5 point difference, but half the ownership. I'll go Miller. Next, we got Nestor Cortez, 9K or 9.1K, 9% owned, 35.3 is our projection. So he is getting a lot closer. He is 2.7 points off of Wheeler. You're saving $900. You got 3.5 star alert score. He's been pitching well his last 2 games. He is home where he isn't, or sorry, he's away where he isn't quite as good. 33% less fantasy points, but 2.9 FIP over his last 5 with 22% K rate. He has enough of a K rate to get it done. This is another factor, though, where I just don't think he's going for 50. I think he could do mid-40s. That could be good enough with the salary savings that you get off of Wheeler. The one thing here is the Nationals are hitting way better versus lefties as of late. 287 average, only 121 ISO. 315 WOBA. So there could be some flukiness in that 287 average, but all in all, they've been getting on base and causing some problems. And the K rate is the worry here for me. Might not be enough upside for Cortez either, but at super low ownership, it's at least interesting to pivot. I don't really want to go to Parker. Jamison Tyon, I don't really want to do that either. Max Fried, 100%. Max Fried, Bailey Ober, my 2 favorite pivots for sure on this slate at super low ownership. Either of them I would consider. And then Mitch Keller, this guy is streaky. He has real high highs when he gets it going. But we only have him at 2.8x, and I think his projection is just too low for me to really want to go there. Now, let's get back over to DraftKings and go over some stacks. I might need to flip over to FanDuel a little bit as well, just to cover that. All right, ceiling, we got Boston all over it versus Toronto and Jose Barrios. Makes a ton of sense to me. I don't mind that one whatsoever. Boston just crushes righties. We got highest owned. We got Miami in Colorado. We don't know Colorado's pitchers yet. It's a Colorado game. Obviously, they're going to get some high ownership. They also are relatively cheap. Been hitting a little bit recently, too. I don't mind a little bit of Miami. Next, we got highest projected. We got Boston, Miami, both on there. Both make a ton of sense, and we've talked about both of them already. Chicago White Sox are a value stack. There is no surprise whatsoever here, as I talked about Ty Madden already. Guy has been horrific in the minors, almost an ERA of 8. How does that translate? Likely not great. So White Sox, a little leverage stack makes some sense there. And we went over the ceiling. Colorado's at 5.5, Boston 4.9, Detroit 4.9. So let's flip over to FanDuel here and check out the stacks here just to make sure we're not missing any from the games that were added. Value stacks, Miami, Detroit. Detroit makes a lot of sense as well. They've been hitting well recently. Davis Martin just been kind of meh, so I don't mind trying to pick on them a little bit. Our ceiling, we got New York all over it versus Mitchell Parker. No surprise. I mean, Judge and Soto have just been insane lately. Chisholm has handled his own. Also, you have Stanton, who hit a home run yesterday. Yankees make sense. It's really hard to fade them right now. Highest owned, we got Yankees and Miami. Both make sense, and our highest projected over here is Yankees. So FanDuel, we like Yankees a lot. Not really, not on the DraftKings slate, so that is the big difference here. They have a run total of 5, only 0.5 under what Colorado and Miami is. I do have to add in, look, Colorado is the same ownership as Miami. Edward Cabrera isn't that great of a pitcher. Colorado can make some waves here going a little under-owned. So that'll do it for us today, guys. Hope you enjoyed it. I'm happy to be back. I will be here all week, the rest of baseball season, all of that good stuff, and we got NFL right around the corner. I am pumped. I will see you guys soon. Good luck. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Helps us a ton. Peace.